And very importantly for our purposes, we can now access the 8 red coins, the 8 ed coins here in Dire Docks. Pole jumping for 8 red coins. We need to go to the other chamber where Bowser's sub used to be. And that area has been replaced by some American Ninja Warrior, American Gladiator type pole jumping, as the title suggests. One of the rare areas in this game as well, which has 2 of the fancy caps right next to each other, the vanishing and the metal caps. Just on the other side right there. But so this time we're going to hit that switch and turn around, and you'll see these boxes lead up to this platform where all of the red coins are. So the key here is just to make sure that you have the camera straightened, you're lining up your jumps. Here we just need to shimmy up and down the pole as necessary to get all the red coins. And we're just gonna stay on here actually and head back to the start. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is transitioning between the poles, as we need to make these jumps, thankfully just over water, not lava in this case, but still can be a little tricky, mostly on account of the camera work, which admittedly I was just praising by Lake-A-Two, but making tricky skill jumps with this camera is another matter entirely. So you'll see, you want to swing the camera around, and we missed. A little late. I got a little impatient there, not wanting to wait, and then if you're impatient, you have to wait even longer, because now you need to go back, hit this switch again, and start the whole process anew. Like that the box just kind of lead to nothing right there. Like the escalator in Springfield, if I can make a 90s reference, I feel like this is the time. One of many head-scratching aspects of Springfield, like Marge mentioned, so let's just go this way this time. We'll come back and get the others, considering we need to come back anyway to get that star. So you just slide down, or just swing the camera around as necessary. I mean, I always recommend having the camera sort of facing the direction that you want to jump in. It makes that jump a little bit easier. This is the trickiest one right here as we are going between them. But not too bad if you line it up just like that and you have that camera straight. You have Mario straight with the camera as well. Now they've gotten a little out of sync, so that was a tricky jump right there. It wouldn't have been the end of the world had we needed to come back and start the process anew, but more of a side-by-side situation there. Alright, so let's see if we can't do this time. My white whale, seemingly, when it comes to the red coins here, in that we dropped off that one time. So yeah, line it up that way, make sure Mario is more or less straight with the camera. Do the opposite on this side, take your time, be patient. Completely unnecessary coins for our purposes at the moment, but we will need every single one of these in just a moment. Dire Doc says, I believe the least amount of coins, maybe second only to Jolly Roger Bay. I think it's 106 here at Dire Docks. I'm not sure what why coins are so hard to come by in these water levels. If that's the case, now it's just a matter of, do we want to ride this back, or we just want to dive straight into the water? We'll try taking this back. We'll be a little loose with it, so it's not the end of the world if we drop in the water, but... Yeah, just curious, class, do you mind these kind of... these situations, you know, your Tony Hawk's collect the letters for skate, just your scavenger hunt type missions in video games? I don't know. They kind of wear on me a little bit, especially in a game like this compared to everything else, which just seems like a lot more fun comparatively. I mean, that's usually how it goes in these games. Everything else is a lot more fun comparatively, but, you know, do you tolerate them like I do, or do you genuinely enjoy them? I'm curious if you want to leave a comment on that, but... And maybe an extension of that as we get a bit of an easier one here. We will need that aforementioned Metal Mario cap to grab this one through the jet stream. But as an extension of that question, be curious what your least favorite scavenger hunt quest in any video game is. I'd have to put some thought into that, but yeah, you certainly can't compare this to the worst when it comes to just collecting 8 red coins. Even in the worst of stages, like this one right here, but... So this is a 2-part thing right here. You won't see a star right away. To trigger the star, make it appear, you just need to basically post up above the currents coming out here and just let them circle you rather than trying to swim into them. I find that's more trouble than it's worth, so let them go around you while you stay stationary in the water, and then come up for some air/health. And then grab yourself the Metal Mario cap. They put the vanishing right next door, like you would need that to get the metal cap, but it's not the case. We're gonna do it just the same. Stack up those caps like Blaze mentioned. Well, where did that go? Let's see if we can't find that. This takes me back to my days at the YMCA. Yeah, it's gone. At the YMCA, taking swim lessons, they would drop those weighted wands down into the water. You have to go down and pick them up. Let's not get cute this time. Let's just go for the Metal Mario cap. And yeah, a long jump can help give you a little extra momentum because just very slow. All movement, no matter which direction you're going there. But plenty of time to walk over through the jet stream and pick up that star right there. Much nicer compared to what we just went through. We'll dive right back in, or launch right back in as the case may be. We're about to dive. The Manta Rays rewards. This is very similar to what we just did, only this time we need to swim through the rings. And unfortunately, the process begins anew if you miss one of the rings in sequence. So, make sure you got some decent momentum right there, and just for a more controlled swim, you can use the leg kick right there if timing isn't an issue. If you get right up on the back of that manta ray. But there you go. A very welcome star after the last couple that we had to pick up, but there we are, 64 stars. How about that? Perfect number to call out here in Super Mario 64. And now collect the caps. Not sure why it's pluralized caps, because we only need the vanishing cap to collect the star, which you may have seen hidden behind I guess like a reef wall at the bottom of the sea floor here. And this one's pretty straightforward, and then we have a lot of coins to get after this. Again, 106 is the number, so I want to call out that the blue coin block that we stomped down on while we were getting the red coins, you need to be very careful in picking up every single one of those coins which spawns. Again, plenty of time to do it, just make sure you don't miss any, otherwise you can't hit the requisite number of coins. But while we're finishing this one up and grabbing all those coins, let's go to Fluff for another Fluff fact about Super Mario 64, and specifically maybe how to beat this game a little faster than you might expect.
While 70 is the intended minimum number of stars it takes to complete this game, there's a glitchy way to beat the game with only 16. Collect 15 stars, beat Bowser the first time to get the key, then head down to the basement. At 15 stars, Mips, the cute little rabbit I talked about earlier, will appear. Grab him as usual with the method the professor mentioned. You can skip the star, by the way, unless you want to beat the game with 17 stars. Then take him to the wooden door which leads back toward Bowser in the Dark World. Place Mips at the right corner of the wooden door like we show, and Mario will glitch into the door. Note that it might take a lot of tries to get this to work, especially if it's your first time trying it. Once you're inside the door, hold Z to crouch and turn to face Mips. It's essential that you crouch while turning, otherwise Mario will open or walk through the door. After you're facing Mips, stand up and grab him, placing him on the other side of the door. Take him to the 30-star door and walk into the corner and you should glitch through, leaving Mips on the other side. Here, complete the first star and Dire Docks to gain access to the Fire Sea and beat Bowser to get the upstairs key. At this point, you need to use repeated backwards long jumps on the staircase leading up to the top floor of the castle. Get the rhythm and timing just right on the jumps while holding Z and moving backwards, and you can build up enough speed to glitch through the 50-star door. At this point, it's just about applying the same trick to Bowser's never-ending staircase that normally requires 70 stars. And just like that, you're at the top and ready to enter and face Bowser that final time and complete this game with just 16 stars. It's actually possible to beat Super Mario 64 with 0 stars, which involves glitching through the first floor on the staircase which leads down to the basement, finding the glitch spot where you can climb up and behind the wall on the floor above, then chaining some sped up backwards long jumps together to glitch yourself upstairs where you can repeat the above steps. The behind the wall backwards long jumps are extremely difficult to pull off, given the limited space you have to work with, to the point that I couldn't even do them myself after going at it for 20 frustrating minutes or so before I gave up, knowing I had other classes to plan for, but for what it's worth, it's a thing.
No one's faulting you one bit. Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, right there you could jump if you hug the side of the stairs like Fluff showed in that clip. You'll note that as we use the key right here to head upstairs for the first time, that we had to cut ahead within our own sped up clip there to find those last few coins and Dire Docks that I missed. Certainly one of the more frustrating stages to collect the 100 coins in, given the relative lower number of coins to be found, but here on this floor you'll see, much like two Starbucks across the street from one another, we have two Toads within eye-shot, viewing distance of one another. This is the one you want to talk to, though. I'm not sure if they're meant to be the same Toad or not, but this one will give you another one of the easiest stars you can possibly find here in Super Mario 64, one of the castle's secret stars, so to speak. You'll see there's a lot of repeat paintings here on this floor, and this is kind of a cool effect right here, as we have Lake 2, the reflective glass right there, Mario, mirroring every movement that we do like a real I mean, it was a big deal in 1996, that's what I'm trying to say, but... So now, for whatever reason, hot on the heels of the second water theme level, we have the second snow theme level for whatever reason. I'm not complaining, I like this level, the stars are relatively easy to come by. So this first one, gotta get some momentum and just get the timing just right so that you get that second jump, the higher one, so that you can hit that ledge while watching out for those kind of snow waves that come at you. And this requires some patience and some decent reaction speed as well. So we need to use the penguin to block out the force of the gust from the big snowman, which will blow us off of this ledge right here. Very frustrating. So we're going to keep with the penguin, except the penguin likes to kind of psych us out. I find it safer to stay sort of at the back side of the penguin. Note that he psychs us out right here and backs up a little bit. Move with him here, and then he's going to pick up speed, at which point you just need to book it, and you're safe the rest of the way. But they can be a little unforgiving with your positioning when it comes to getting blown off, or what they consider to be in the area of that breath and not being protected by that penguin, but there's the first one, Snowman's big head. Again, I like the stage itself because I like the way it's laid out, and I like how easy it is to get the stars, but... And we have another bully fight right here. It's the exact same strategy as before, so we're not gonna bother Gary here. He's up on top of the little platform, the ice platform right here. Be careful. Falling into the water here is the exact same as falling into the lava. It's that cold, apparently. But it's the same strategy. It's just a little more difficult because of the lack of traction and everything. But it's the same strategy as Gary mentioned. Just kind of lure him to a corner, get him to commit to something, and then very quickly react and kick him off. You could do one of those jumps, those backwards jumps that we were doing, and just dropping down at just the right angle to knock him off as well. But another very easy star. But yeah, the reason this stage bums me out, and we didn't mention this, you can see the painting in the reflection. That's the giveaway right there. That's kind of the cool thing about this, that it's hidden but it's not. This might be my favorite star in the entire game to get right here. Bit of an illusion when it comes to finding the right way to get in here, right here, and then it's just going through this opening right here and creating enough space here so that you can get a wall kick going and get to the top of this ledge. There we go, just a little kick off right there and then drop right in, right next to it. Love that star, so easy to get, and a clever little puzzle on top of that to boot. But yeah, the only thing that bums me out is if you go back to that main area on this floor, there's some really interesting looking paintings. There's like a really pretty starry night. I think that would have been a cool stage. There's, I think, another kind of sky-themed level. We will have a sky-themed world by the end of this, but easiest way to get this star is to jump on one of these Spindrift's heads. This one right here in the water. Don't even need to be that accurate, as you can see right there, and just spin, fly, hover over here and grab this star. But yeah, I get it, you know, reusing assets and everything, but yeah. Just always like that painting, I guess. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And we have our 70th power star. I always forget the game refers to them as power stars at some point, but shell shredding for red coins. This one is one of the best ones to get when it comes to the red coins. You can see there are a lot of them underneath where we were battling with the big bully. So once again, we're going to hit the spin drift, float over here, and in the chest, or the block, which is next to the one where we found the star, you'll find a shell. You can jump to get a little momentum when you're going up a steep hill, but grab these four first and you can drop down. Just be careful not to lose it. And note how tight the sinking corner. Grab that one there, and then you'll find a couple hidden underneath our battlefield with the big bully. And then the final one is back here closer to the start. And there you go. Very simple 8 red coins to pick up. How much nicer is that over? And we can't spin into that apparently. Just learned that for the first time. Yeah, how much nicer was collecting those red coins versus the Dire Dock situation? Or the Shifting Sandland, for that matter, I have to say. But yeah, 70 stars, very important point for this game. Now we have the minimum number to beat the game as intended, I suppose. Fluff just kind of debunked the idea of needing 70. You can glitch your way into beating it with far less, but for our purposes, playing this the legitimate way, 70 is the requisite number, but we're going for the full sweep here. But for what it's worth at this point, we could go ahead and beat the game, but... And then skip over, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages at this point we haven't even been to. So use the shell to get up here. I find that's the easiest way, but be very careful about accidentally breaking it on the little fence outside. And then crawl into this igloo right here. And you can see the star is kept right up there, proudly on display by these baddies. Nice wall of coins right there, too. It's like an art gallery in here. So we can't grab that one as is. we need to find ourselves a vanishing cap. So to do that, we'll see. There's a lot of, goes with the perspective too. It's kind of hard to see. It's over there on the right, but all the ice walls make it difficult to see where you can navigate. You can go around this wall right here, and it looks like there's no way to get to the vanishing cap block right here. Looks like it's walled off, but you can see there's a lower cutoff point. So you can actually do with a high enough jump. You can climb over the ledge right there of that ice wall. And while you got the vanishing cap, you can go through the ice and grab that star. And as we speed things up once again to get the 100 coins for this world in Snowman's Land, let's go back to Fluff for another Fluff fact about Super Mario 64. And by the way, before we go to Fluff, I want to mention there are 126 coins to be found in Snowman's Land, so follow along as we grab those, and let's go back to Fluff.
A popular dad joke as it relates to Super Mario 64 is, what happened to Super Mario's 4 through 63? Just to suck the fun out of the room, technically, if you add up every single Mario-themed game which was released ahead of Super Mario 64, this would actually be well over the 100th game released in the quote-unquote series. Joking aside, there were plans for a Super Mario 64 sequel, tentatively named Super Mario 64 2. This game was planned for the aforementioned 64DD, but the project was ultimately abandoned early on in its production due to the also aforementioned lack of success of the 64DD itself, and any concepts they had for the game were likely shelved for subsequent Mario games on subsequent systems.
There you go. Yeah, just like the face manipulation bit right there. Nintendo's always reusing assets and making sure nothing goes to waste or anything. So obviously there were plenty of coins to be found in that igloo. Not that many to be found at the top of the mountain right here, but you can grab yourself a 1-up. And we can actually drop into the igloo from up there, so if you lose your shell like we did right there. Spin drifts are good for a few coins as well, so don't neglect taking them out. You can find you can get to the cannon bomb if you use the vanishing cap right here. But most importantly, we can grab the remaining coins necessary for that 100 right there in that very cool looking block of ice. But yeah, right there, the starry night right there and just the straight up clouds. That'd be a good painting for the final world, which we have a ways to get to. But right now it's time for Wet Dry World. So we can control the level of the water, the height of the water, through two different ways. One, in the level itself, by hitting these pyramid-looking things to basically raise or lower the level of the water to the same level that the pyramid mechanism is on itself. And also, very importantly, as we are very careful to ride these little blocks across right here to get to this first star. And we're about to get hit. We are. Oh god. Alright, there we go. That's the worst. That's why they put it there, to be the worst. But yes, we can also control the level of the water by how high or low we jump into the painting each time. So this is going to be around mid-level, a little bit higher up. If you do a backflip just away from the entrance to the painting, you can have the water as high as it can possibly go, which is actually necessary to access some of the later stars in a different part of the Wet Dry World altogether, actually. Got an enemy here called a Chuckya, the purple bomb looking guy. Just spins around and tries to grab you. It's not unlike our battle with the big bomb back in the first world, but yeah, you just gotta get behind them and give them a toss before they can pick you up and toss you, and they will explode and leave you some coins for future reference. Climb up all the way right there. Careful stepping on that plank and grab yourself the second star. Top O the town. Always a hint in those titles. Secret in the shallows and the sky. So, in this case, we have to find, not unlike when we did the pyramid, finding the secrets in there. This time we need to lower the water all the way down. Again, you can just kind of jump shallow right outside the painting as you go inside, and you'll start with the water being all the way down. But drop it all the way. And you'll find a lot of these are tied to these giant blocks, these things that are straight out of The Legend of Zelda, actually. I believe they use these in a couple of the temples. Same coloring for the most part. Note that coin block right there for when we're gathering coins later. These enemies are called heave-hoes. They cannot be destroyed. The little guys with a wind-up crank in the back and a plate. Sometimes we can use them to launch us up to an area we can't reach, as is the case right here if we want. It only hurts you if you drop down on a lower level. So in this case, well, this is going to hurt right here as we get up. The heave-ho launches up in the air. Just doing its job. Can't get mad. But yeah, flip it around right here and then actually have it work for you. Alright, well in that case, you just kind of flipped us off the side, but you can see the amount of time it takes Mario to recover right there, get back up again. Sometimes leaves you susceptible to being tossed by one of those heave-hoes once again. There's the fourth one right there. And they said secrets in the shallows and the sky. So you can imagine this last one is going to be all the way up. Once again, we need to cross over this plank right here. Just trying to get the least bad camera angle, as is the case oftentimes here in Super Mario 64. There's also a switch just next to this cage on the top side of this building to the left there. If you hit that, it creates some boxes and you can climb up to get to that last box right there. So now let's see if we can launch all the way with a long jump onto this little plateau here. There we go. And the star is just to the left here. Just even when he has the room, Lega 2 refuses to do a full 360 around Mario. He's got that 359 degree angle turn radius right there, so eventually hits that wall. Alright, so this next one you want to start off at the lowest point of the water right here. If you didn't, like we did right here, then you can go ahead and just tag the double pyramids that are in the corner to drop the water to its lowest level. We gotta knock this box out of the way first. This will save us some time. And now we want to get all the way back up to the top so we can trigger the elevator, ride it down, and then quickly hop on top of it so that we can enter inside on the other side of the elevator and ride it back up. Hopefully we can recover before the other heave-ho. Just got such a mischievous grin on its face right there. You can see right here, if we hit this, this gives us the stairs up that I referenced with that last star. So now we want to ride this down and then probably drop off to save yourself some time and then quickly run in and do a wall kick here to position yourself back on the elevator before it rides back up. And you can see you can't raise the water all the way up here and expect to be able to get that star because the elevator then creates a seal. So that's how you grab that one right there. And now for these final 2 stars of the normal variety here in Wet Dry World, I think it's time to see the rest of the stage. We go downtown this time. And actually we need to do the water at the highest level, so that was my mistake once again. So we'll do a backflip just away from the entrance of the painting. And it's not going to be all the way at the top, but it's going to be high enough for the game's purposes to max out that water level. You could do a backflip or you could do a double jump. Either way, it's going to max out that water level, as you can see right here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool effect, actually. So with the water all the way up, we have just enough elevation so that we can jump and climb over this gate here, and then swim to the other area of this map, the downtown section. Like they use the Skybox in the background to make this. Always thought it was cool to make this stage look a lot bigger than it actually is. A lot of N64 games, or just games of this generation, use that quite a bit. These kind of, you know, relatively low fidelity type looking resolution photos or artwork for the back to make it seem like there's all this stuff going on in the distance in the horizon. Remember, they made a big deal out of it, as we got to get the red coins here, which are concealed in these boxes here. But I remember they made a big deal out of it when Ocarina of Time came out, a game we've referenced a lot. We really do need to do a class on that game. It's been too long since I played it. By which I mean, what, a couple years? You got to revisit that game every so often. But I remember Shigeru Miyamoto and just the people at Nintendo were being interviewed, and probably in Nintendo Power or something. But I remember reading the interview and them saying, you know, you see a mountain in this game and you can actually go to it. That's the difference in this game. Like, this world it's massive and completely traversable. That's where that red coin is going to show up, or the red coin star, I should say. But yes, they still use skyboxes in that game as well. Yes, we could ultimately go to that mountain. The one they showed in the distance, but and not quite the same thing as what we have today. You do some wall kicks to get all the way up here. The 6th red coin, the 7th red coin, and we're just missing one more. Not the worst of the red coin stars, I have to say, because it's all in a relatively contained area here. We need to use the blue vanishing cap for the final star. We will come back to town. We can do some wall kicks off this gate right here, this fence. Like so. And I didn't have time. That thing was shooting us before Lakitu got in position, but there you go. Number 8 right there. Yeah, that was porn for me as a kid. Just reading about the next big game on the N64. Unrivaled giddiness when it comes to anticipating video games, which, yeah, I have not felt since. As is the case, you know, those seminal years when you are a kid. But we want to go back to town for this one, so we want to go as high as possible when we enter the painting. Again, you can just do a backflip. Don't have to worry about lining up any jumps, because then you always run the risk, of course, of coming up a little bit short in that case. So a backflip will work just fine, just away from the entrance to the painting. I suppose this constitutes the 3rd water level overall in the game, but there's a lot more going on here with the ability to raise and lower the levels here, and there's this extra little town and everything. And yeah, the fact that we can empty out the water levels makes it feel like a dry world as well as a wet world. How about that? So first hit that double pyramid to drop out the water level. Then sometimes just to cheat it a little bit, you can swim up, grab a little bit of oxygen before it bottoms out. And yeah, the door on that building was definitely the same ones that they had in Ocarina of Time and Kakariko Village. Go through this wall with it, and ultimately we just want to go through this fence right here. And there's another cap in here if you decide, oh wait, I didn't actually mean to come in here, so you can exit, but we want to wait for this one to wear off, so that now that we can actually do wall kicks between these two surfaces here, and then climb up and get ourselves the final of the normal stars here in Wet Dry World. So you know the drill now. We're going to enter back in and grab all the coins. This one has 152 to be found, so this one shouldn't take you too long. Think back to some of the coins that we showed throughout the course of the different stars we collected, but as we're doing this, starting out in downtown, which I recommend before you head back the other way, let's go back to Fluff for a Fluff fact about said Skybox. Here in Wet Dry World, Fluff, what can you tell us?
The Skybox for this Wet Dry World features the horizon of an actual town to make the level appear larger in scope than it actually is. For years, this was long believed to have been a stock photo of the hillside town of Caceres, Spain, until it was confirmed to actually be a composite of altered photos of the desert town of Shivim, Yemen, which does feature a mountainous horizon. The one exception to this is Cairo, Egypt's Muhammad Ali Mosque, which stands out in the back of the skyline, complete with its two prominent towers.
Thank you, Fluff. Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy that it took everyone that long to figure out what the image actually was of, you know? It can be deceiving, I get that, but yeah, I mean, it's not the first case where it's taken a very long time for everyone to figure out sort of a secret, for lack of a better, when it comes to one of these games. I'm thinking back to, I think it was our class on Super Punch-Out when it was discovered some 30 years after the game came out that there was a two-player mode. It was kind of tucked away, maybe part of a debugging mode or something like that, but whatever it was, there's a Metal Mario up here for what it's worth. But yeah, at this point we just want to grab ourselves the Vanishing Cap and head back. But yeah, you want to start out with the water level high here in Wet Dry World so that you can access downtown. But as I said, there are, 152 coins to be found, so yeah, you can find most, if not all, in the normal part of town. It's just a bit of a slog if you're trying to find each and every single coin, so kind of nice to have the 40 plus that we could grab downtown as well to add to that total. And there's that blue coin box right there that we can hit, so let's just empty out the water. We can finish on that. Very generous. I think there's 6 of those or so get 30 coins being kept right there. Alright, and with the Star Wipe, we are back in present time, heading to Tall Mountain. Earlier we had Cool Mountain, now we have Tall Mountain. The major danger here on Tall Mountain is obviously falling off the edge of said mountain. Getting those red coins is especially quite precarious. Got some Monty moles here making another appearance. If you jump on them multiple times, then they will yield a 1-up for what it's worth, or the same mole. Monkey. Nintendo loves their monkeys as well, don't they? This is fun right here. We didn't get to really do this in the lava stage. We just flew over to that star, but yeah, just run against the side. I don't recommend doing a ground pound on the rolling log right there, but yeah, just get decently deep on one side and just run back toward the middle to make it move in the direction you want right there. We're going all the way to the top of the mountain. Love to do a nice long jump right here to get across. You can actually jump into the side of the mountain right there to access a secret slide, which we'll check out a little bit later. Note that the grass right there, the weeds kind of pull you down. This is where you want to keep it in first gear. We're making full use of the the different speeds, which are tied to the different degrees to which we're pushing that stick there. But we have ascended the tall, tall mountain at the very peak. Get a nice pan out right there. First star knocked out. Head back in. One of the smallest paintings that we enter in the entire game. Might be the smallest. Now the mystery of the monkey cage. I was trying to think of monkeys in other Nintendo games. Not named Donkey Kong. Monkey Kong, Donkey Kong. We have Kiki the monkey, obviously. In Link to the Past. Game which we did a sizable, in-depth walkthrough on here on Video Games 101, so you can check that out with all of our classes via the link to the playlist in the description. So the monkey right there, alright, well that's dangerous. Thankfully, if you're up at the top, the mountain gets a little bit more narrow the higher that you scale, so for the most part, there's generally some mountain you can fall on if you do drop in from the top. Right there, not so much, so put on the brakes right there. So with the title of this star, you might think we need to talk to this monkey right here. We're actually going to go to the top. That monkey means to steal our hat, which is not a good time. So instead, see a star down there in the distance. We'll be working on that one eventually. But for now, we are scaling all the way back to the top of the mountain once again. Not sure where those cannonballs are dropping in from. The design, I have to say, of the Goombas in this game reminds me of the Goomba Happy Meal toy that I got at McDonald's at one point as a kid. I don't know if it was maybe a tie-in with the live-action movie, Dennis Hopper, John Leguizamo. For those who remember that movie, I don't remember it very fondly, as I don't think most do, but it's the Fungus Mario. Just remember Goombas dancing. Maybe it wasn't actually as a tie into that movie, because the Goombas in that movie were very tall, weird-looking guys in trench coats. I don't know, it was very strange. It was a bad movie. I think we can all agree. So just trying to grab the monkey here, just being very careful. Just kind of force him over to the hill because he can't go down there, and then grab him right there. Similar to when we grab Mips, this one, grab him, and in exchange for releasing him, he will give us access to the star that's right there in that cage. Somehow this monkey knows the mystery of that cage. I don't know if he... Yeah? It's a nice move. Are you going to give me that star, though? There you go. So he rides it all the way down, so we can just hop off here, down into the water below. There's one behind the waterfall as well. That's not the one that we're going for right now. Drop into the water and hop right out. Just note the current right there. It's trying to drop you off the edge, but there we are, second star. Taking us up to 80, 2/3 to the full count here in Super Mario 64. Scary Shrooms red coins. Yes, scary in the sense that some of them are very narrow and there is no net to break our fall. If we fall here, it is a death, and this could be the first death in an otherwise more or less flawless run so far, I have to say. Again, we don't go for the no death runs necessarily, especially in a game like this. That took my breath away. That's the tiny little mushroom right there. Not a lot of surface area to land on in that one. Alright, so those are the first four. The other four are a little bit safer to grab right here. Not counting the Monty moles that are trying to make our day a little more difficult, but yeah, just here in this interesting rock formation here. Trying to get the backwards jump right here, but a double jump might work just as well. Do a wall kick here to get up. You can American Gladiator your way across to get those coins if you wish. decent number of coins to be found in this one for the 100 coin star. Gratifiably. Let's do a backwards jump to get up there, but see the last one all the way at the top. Try to do a triple jump just to a little more room here to operate. Like getting those two kind of shallow jumps in there, and then that's where they put it, which I don't really appreciate, but this one's a bit of a leap of faith. The good news is if you overshoot it, there is an air current which will push you back up, as you can see right here. So just jump off the edge, and then you can see right here, this will push you back up, and you can grab the star. But yeah, if you don't know that that's there, you can, yeah, you'll feel your heart in the back of your throat right there. But nice to knock out the red coins. Nice to have them in a centralized location, more or less, albeit dangerous with those mushrooms. So this is the mysterious mountainside. Referenced the entrance, the painting-like doorway. It's the only stage which has one of these within it. And you can see once again we get that burst of air right there. So they're generous in a lot of spots. Not all the spots, mind you. Still very easy to drop off here and die, but so just gonna scale the mountain once again as per usual. Just gotta say it again, love getting around, love the gameplay here in Super Mario 64, even 81 stars in. It's just a joy doing these long jumps, backward flips to navigate the spaces they give us to work with here. Now, there is a one up there, but we're not exactly hurting for them at this point. But yeah, hop in here to the false wall. We got ourselves a slide. No timer this time. One thing to note about this slide is that there is a junction coming up here. Careful to stay on the track. Make sure you take the right turn at this junction. Right here. If you go left, you'll just hit a dead end and literally fall to your death. So, literal dead end right there. But this is a good place to get some coins during the coin star. Just probably make sure that your 100th coin doesn't happen midway during the slide, as that would be difficult to recover at that point. There you go. Just drop right through and this spits you out. Like a putt-putt course from back in the day. I guess putt-putt's still around in a very diminished capacity, but right there, it spits you out, and you can get that star.
Go.
Yeah, who didn't love that though? If you played putt-putt or any kind of miniature golf, you know, putt-putt kind of the catch-all term for that, like Kleenex some people use, but yeah, that is the trademark term, strictly speaking. But yeah, loved hitting your ball into one of those holes and have it disappear, maybe multiple holes, and then it would, depending on which one you went for, it would spit your ball out down below. Maybe setting you up for a hole-in-one. Maybe not. Maybe setting you up for a bad time. Maybe for the water hazard. I don't know. I don't know how strictly you adhered to the the rules of professional golf and miniature golf, but good times. Not nearly enough miniature golf, I think, these days. This is the kind of banter that you get into 82 stars into Super Mario 64, but I always think to myself as we go for this 5th star here, can't help but think that the upkeep for a miniature golf course must be really low, so I don't understand why these things keep going out of business, or why they're just not around like they used to be. But yeah, hit that switch, and then you just jump from that bridge. You don't even need the platform, to be honest, but it certainly helps. Just do a nice little dive, just like we showed right there. Don't go too high, or you'll bounce off the rock above it. So this is Blast Off to the Lonely Mushroom, kind of suggesting that there is a cannon involved in this one. But just to finish that thought, because I know you care, about these thoughts on miniature golf. But yeah, I mean, you know, once you make the course, it's not like you gotta hire a greenskeeper per se. Just pick up some dead leaves off the course every now and then, and I think you're good to go. You buy the balls, you buy the clubs, people just keep reusing them. Don't understand it. Just seems like a money-making gold mine, but what do I know about it? So it says blast off, but you can just as easily launch from that log, like so. That's my preferred way of doing it. And there you go. And once again, let's bring in Fluff for another Fluff fact as we show you how to grab the relatively generous 137 coins to be found here on Tall Tall Mountain. But Fluff, what do you got for us?
Super Mario 64 is the first game in the Mario series which truly established Mario's trademark high-pitched and excitable Italian voice from Charles Martinet. Despite this, Martinet actually provided Mario's voice in a couple lower-profile PC-based Mario games in the educational Mario Teaches Typing and the variety card and board game-themed Mario's Game Gallery, though these were both released after Martinet's first gig as the voice of the world's most famous video game character in Mario in Real Time, an interactive sim graphics system Nintendo used at promotional events to allow people to interact with Mario. Before Martinet recorded his lines for Super Mario 64, the developers purportedly used Looney Tunes voices as placeholders. Most of Mario's voice clips from the Western version were omitted from the Japanese version, and this includes the admittedly few lines from Princess Peach as well, which were recorded in the Western version by former Nintendo employee and senior editor of Nintendo Power, Leslie Swan.
Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, Charles Martinet will always be the voice of Mario as far as I'm concerned. No disrespect to, well, I guess some disrespect to Chris Pratt, but as we're just trying to pick up the final 10 coins or so here. Plenty of them from the Chuckya, and then the last on this bridge here. And now we are moving on to Tiny Huge Island, the final stage on this floor. That would be Snowman once again. I get turned around. Simple as this floor is, but it's just this simple star, and there are 3 paintings in here, but it's the small one on the left and the giant one, or the huge one. The tiny one on the left and the huge one on the right, which are the ones we can enter, and as you might expect, which one you enter determines whether you enter the tiny or the huge portion of this stage, respectively, and they are connected by a number of pipes, which allow you to go back and forth between the two. This first star is nice and easy, just taking out the giant piranha plants. Just run up to them, give them a punch. Simple as, just be careful if they do set you on fire, that you are running away from the ledge, obviously. Surprisingly, there are a lot of places where you can fall off of the level here in Tiny Huge Island. I like that one. That's one of the few stars I like here in Tiny Huge Island. As unpopular opinion coming up here, class, I have to say, as much as I loved, I guess it was Giant Land back in Super Mario Bros. 3. Excellent game, excellent world in Super Mario Bros. 3. Excellent land, I should say. This might be my least favorite of the worlds here in Super Mario 64. I just mind Boss Bass here. Coolest looking fish that can also swallow you and kill you with one bite if you get too close, so keep your distance there. Yeah, I think it's just the huge part of the island is just too huge, too sparse. There's just not much going on, and it's difficult to get around. And the tiny part might be even worse. There's just nowhere to stand. So I suppose in a way they accomplished their goals. The tiny part is very tiny. The huge part is very huge. And just getting around on the huge part is just kind of annoying. Getting where you want to go. Getting to the top of the mountain in some cases. I don't like how easy it is to fall off the sides, or maybe why are there so many pits or edges of the world here. I don't know. I like what they were going for. Don't necessarily love the execution, but that's my piece. I'm sure a lot of people's this might be their favorite. as was Giant Land in Super Mario Bros. 3. That was kind of mind-blowing at the time. Just, you know, dealing with the normal scale of everything, and then all of a sudden going into a pipe and everything being massive. We're just trying to get to the top here to get the star. Plenty of real estate on this plank, but you can imagine not the case in the tiny half of the island. Just an awkward map, I think. I think that's my real gripe, if I can finally come around to why this is my least favorite of all the worlds here in Super Mario 64. Very happy to be told that you're dead wrong, Professor, in the comments, so go ahead, make your case for why Tiny Huge is much better than I think it is. But we get a fun one now, in a rematch with an old foe of ours in Koopa the Quick. There's a tiny little island out there with a little warp in the edge of it. Yeah, you could see, I think the tiny part is even worse than the huge part. You have so little surface area to navigate. Not great for someone like myself who absolutely loves and thrives on the long jumps. I didn't do myself any favors by entering in the smaller half of the stage at the start to meet Koopa the Quick. I will fully acknowledge that. Thanks for the hop up right there, Shy Guy. Spinning Shy Guy. We will find him over here on this side. Long time no see. Let's have a rematch. Goal is to win Sweat Valley. Like, we know where that is. I guess you could read one of the signs or something, but just go the way that he's going, essentially. And I believe a one-up was triggered right there because we touched one of those butterflies. I think Fluff is going to tell us something. Fun fact about those. Once we go for the 100 coin star, that's all you gotta do. Just go around roughly half of the stage right here. Not too difficult. You just need to be very careful. Even with his Mach 1 shoes, had to be careful not to be reckless on that bridge right there with the wind pushing you and everything. Which you can easily do since you know that you're in a race, obviously. We're up to 87 stars now. Yeah, ironically, 5 itty bitty secrets. This is one time when you do want to be in the small half of this world here. Not sure half is the right term, considering, you know, in terms of real estate, this probably makes up maybe a quarter of the size of the scale that the huge part does. But first little secret is right there in. This is very difficult to maneuver with the camera and the movement right there, but there's one at that hole, there's one at the top right here. A few more to be found. But yes, ironically, this is the stage which has, and then on this side of the tiny hole, which we can't go through on Tiny Island, but we can pass through just fine on the huge half of the island. You can see tiny little Koopa right there. He gets supersized comparatively when we were racing him. But there you go, there's the last secret. Not too difficult in terms of the little Goomba trying its best. But yeah, I think there's 181 coins, I want to say, all total here in Tiny Huge Island. So far and away the most coins to be found out of all of the worlds here in Super Mario 64, but yeah, you wouldn't know it based on, at least my experience, how difficult it is to get all of them without dying. And to get the star, come up here just to get the bearings. You can like basically easily access any part of the stage just by coming up here. So this is where we need to be careful. Those flames can have the same effect as the big flames will. Have you running off the edge if you're not careful. But yeah, hit that switch right there. Take the boxes over and get that star. Alright, so this time we want to Probably be better if we start in the huge island, because we need to, you might note that we haven't seen any red coins yet. So that area where we do see a Koopa, kind of on the beach, that's where we want to go ultimately, because the little kind of roundabout boards, and he's going for us, alright. When he hits you, it doesn't always swallow you up, the big bass, or the boss bass, I should say. It is a big bass, but... So yeah, if you go through the other, you start through here, just go through the hole either way. And then if we take said Koopa shell, and we ride it up this hill right here, which is too steep for us to jump up, but we can ride this up. Just use jumps to get the momentum. As he's desperately trying to get his shell back, his home, and we just destroy it right in front of him, leaving him in his t-shirt and boxers right there. But yeah, head inside here by taking this little plank bridge, and be very careful when you come inside, because you can see it's a very narrow walkway, and Lakitu, as usual, not doing you any favors. This is where I died a lot historically as a kid, because some of these jumps tricky to make. You can't always see or tell the reach which you need, the speed or depth of some of these. Trying not to get set on fire. And the last one is over on this side. We could do some wall kicks right here to grab that last one, and there you go. Another self-contained red coin star, so I do appreciate that tiny huge island. And this last one is going to require us to visit both Tiny and Huge Island. And we've been doing that for most of these anyway, but this one, we start out in Tiny Island, and we go to the top of that, I guess, mountain, if you want to call it, that little bit of water at the top of the mountain. So we'll just... There is a gap right there. Keep teasing it, that first death. I'm gonna go to the top right here. We could do like a backwards jump to maybe make that from that side, but so hop up here and do a ground pound in the water to drain that out. And now you just want to hop inside the pipe and then climb right back to where we just emptied that out. And now we'll find an opening. You could kind of see the small opening in Tiny Island, but obviously we were too large to fit through there. It's interesting how Lakitu always insists on swinging that camera around there, making it very difficult for us, but do at least one long jump from the bottom there to give yourself some momentum, then you just use your remaining momentum to jump the rest of the way up there. And we find ourselves in Wiggler's domain here at the top of the mountain. So with tips on taking down Wiggler, let's go to Gary.
Boss beaters.
All right, Wiggler, the strategy is very similar to the Big Boo. In this case, we just want to get in front of him so he's charging at us, and then use one of those quick low to the ground pounds to do damage as soon as his head comes in contact with you. Do this 2 more times, you'll take him down.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, that's an apt comparison. Same strategy as we used on the Big Boo. Only difference is you don't need to look away from Wiggler when you do the ground pound. He makes a very similar sound as Boo's and the Big Boo made as well when we took them down. Might be the same sound effect actually, but anyway. Alright, so as I mentioned, this is one of my least favorite of all the coin stars to collect. I think the exact number is 191 coins, so almost a full double the amount of, I think it was Jolly Roger Bay, which just had 104, so plenty of coins spread out between the two worlds, almost 100 in each of them. you would think. Well, I'm not sure what the exact math breaks down to between the two. I like to start with the red coins because, as I said, this is a place where I normally will die. Plus, you do have a couple of the blue coins right here. Just mind the flames, but yeah, you can grab onto that grid above you and use that. But yeah, while we're struggling to come up with 100 coins, again, probably better strategies. This might be the one where I say, hey, if you've got tips on this, or if you have an area which you swear by, please let me know. This is one of the few areas where I will happily wave the white flag when it comes to this game. We see the butterflies there again. I know I teased Fluff giving us a fun fact about the butterflies here in Super Mario 64. By the way, the Koopa Troopas are good for a 5 spot, so nice source right there. But I think we'll put that one on hold and instead bring Fluff in to talk about the next stage, Tick-Tock Clock, one of my favorite levels, and how we can control the speed of the level by, well, Fluff, how about you tell us?
The speed of the Tick-Tock Clock is directly tied to the time displayed on the face of the clock when you enter the level. Specifically, the mechanics inside the clock will be slowed if you enter at 3. It will be fast if you enter at 9, and the speed will be random if you enter at 6. And it will be stopped altogether if you enter at 12. Collecting the various stars in the level can be made more difficult by entering the clock at the right time, as the professor will mention.
That's right, thank you very much, Fluff. So, after we grabbed the coin star from Tiny Huge Island, it's time to finally head upstairs. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you.